It is an insult to your characters. It is an insult to your readers. It is an insult to every intellectual out there. This is not storytelling. I don't know what it is, but it is not storytelling. This will destroy any possibly good story that you had. How do I explain my point without explaining the situation? This is something I have not learned how to do. Character spotlighting. Don't know if there's an official term for it. That's what I call it. If, after listening to this, you know what the official term is for it, is there an official term for it? You can let me know in the comments. I call it character spotlighting. Basically, it's when all of this that has nothing to do with the main character becomes about the main character anyway. All of these situations where there's about 50 other people that would have been a better choice to handle it, could have, would have, should have, whatever, been the ones to handle it and been the hero. No, your hero is supposed to be the hero, so he is the hero no matter what, even if it makes no sense for them to be the hero. Legend of Chusen, or otherwise known as Notable Aspirations. This is a perfect example, multiple times over, of character spotlighting. This episode is not supposed to be about Xiao Fan and Biao, but it became about Xiao Fan and Biao anyway. It was supposed to be about Liu Wei and San Yang and even Zhao Qi. It was supposed to be about them, but it didn't end up being about them. How did it not end up being about them? It's a really long, involved story, and that's why the other video was 32 minutes, how this whole situation happened. Liu Wei is basically on the verge of death, but the problem is, because of how he's dying, he'll actually be taken over by a monster and become a monster that will kill everybody if he dies. He is fighting against this because he doesn't want to die, and I think he understands that he's going to turn into a monster that's going to kill everybody at the same time, and he doesn't want to do that. He's not a human being. He is what is called in Korean a gumiho, which translates into a nine-tailed fox. They're a fairly popular mythical creature in the Asian cultures to make stories about. And there's many different kinds of versions because this one seems to be completely different from everything I've heard in Korean stories. But again, long explanation. Go and look up what a gumiho is. You can find it yourself. In this story, there's Liu Wei, who's a six-tailed fox. There's San Yang, who's a three-tailed fox. Those two are basically a couple. And there's Zhao Qi, who apparently was a seven-tailed fox, except he's only got the one tail now because... And this is a key part of why this is about him, not about Xiao Fan and Biao. Zhao Qi has already told us twice that he came from a family of, there was 18 foxes in this home. So, the parents and 16 kids, it sounds like, including Zhao Qi. I think is what he said, because I think he said, 18 total. I think he meant himself included. Everybody got killed by hunters. He almost died. Liu Wei saved him. Liu Wei is now his big brother. He is his entire world. In this episode, Liu Wei is dying. He's on the verge of death. They're down to the bare bones trying to save this guy. Xiao Fan is the hero of the story. Nobody knows how to do anything if Xiao Fan doesn't come up with a brain. Nobody has a brain. If Xiao Fan is anywhere near, everybody's brain shuts off. Okay? I'm just gonna straight up tell you, that is how this show functions. By this point, literally, if Xiao Fan is nowhere in sight, people can usually come up with something that at least semi-works. But if Xiao Fan is anywhere within the vicinity, nobody has a brain. Nobody knows how to think. Gotta be Xiao Fan that thinks every time. Already character spotlight. By the way, I just realized, if you don't understand the difference between the character spotlighting when I said that literally nobody has a brain if Xiao Fan is anywhere within so many miles of them, I think there's been at least once where somebody literally made the comment, don't worry, once Xiao Fan gets here, then we'll know what to do. When literally nobody has a brain outside of the main character, 95% of the time, the main character has to tell them what to do because nobody can come up with a plan. Okay, that is character spotlighting within Legend of Chusen. Now to tell you the opposite. The opposite of a character that is just purely spotlit, okay? Is your character the hero or is your hero the character? Speaking of the actor who played Xiao Fan, when he played in Daybreaker. There's an example of how to do it right. His character in Daybreaker was extremely intelligent. The show is basically run on him coming up with the plans of what to do next. But everybody else had a brain too. Everything was moving. He would come up with a plan, it would go so far, unexpected things happened that just out of the blue, so he had to adapt and come up with something else. Daybreaker is a really good example of not character spotlighting. The hero is the main character. In Legend of Chusen, the main character is the hero, and that's the difference, in case you don't know what the difference is. If you watch, you don't even have to watch the entire thing of both of those shows, but if you watch even just a few episodes here and there of them, that's the difference between your hero being the main character, Daybreaker, the hero is the main character, and the main character being the hero. Character spotlighting. So in this episode, Xiao Fan, the hero, has got to get there in order to save Liu Wei. And he says, yeah, he owes his life to Liu Wei because Liu Wei already saved him once before, so he's going to do everything he can to save Liu Wei. Sure, he does. But along the way, throughout this entire episode, like every 5 minutes, we gotta stop and concentrate on Xiao Fan and Biao instead. Because at this point, Biao has had her memories taken away from her. She doesn't remember Xiao Fan. Horror of horror of horrors! Long 30-minute video, I'm trying to cut this short. Time and place, people, time and place. 3 or 4 times or something? I wasn't exactly counting, but I was definitely skipping. Because like 3 or 4 times, we're suddenly focused on Xiao Fan and Biao and her trying so hard to get her memory back and them having these romantic moments where we're seeing flashbacks for the 2,000th times at least. And we've got to watch that. So there was 2 detrimental times when this show gave you the perfect example of what it means to character spotlight. 2 detrimental times in specifics. Don't do this in your stories. This tends to be a young adult genre tactic. They do this all the time, and I'm telling you, authors who are writing for young adults, stop it. You're insulting them to the nth degree. Young adults who want this, stop it. You're insulting yourself to the nth degree. This is not good storytelling. Character spotlighting is not in any way, shape, or form good storytelling. And I am starting to raise my voice and yell at you again. I wasn't trying not to do that, but I can't help it. I am so sick of character spotlighting. There's a time and a place. Don't character spotlight your character. Why? Because I now hate your character. The only thing that's stopping me from completely 100% hating Xiao Fan is because, okay, like, I know it's not really the character's fault, it's the author's fault, and because the actor playing him, I love that face, because I've seen him in something else that he was epic in, and I can't hate that face, even if I hate the character he's playing. But anyway, the turmoil. It is literally only the actor saving this guy. Literally only the actor. I guarantee that if it wasn't this actor playing him, I would so hate this character. I would be literally skipping him. I don't care if he's talking about anything important. He has been so character spotlit by this point that I downright hate this character. And I should not downright hate this character because this character is actually, aside from the fact that he's an idiot like most of the characters in this show are, but this is seriously getting off topic and a whole other video that I'd love to make. Basically everybody in this show, there are very few characters who actually use their head and actually properly think. But that's getting off into it. Character spotlight. There was 2 major places in this episode that character spotlight that like sealed the deal. You destroyed your story. This is supposed to be about Liu Wei and San Ying and Xiao Qi. That is what this episode is supposed to be about. Liu Wei is dying. He's on the verge of death. Xiao Fan and Biao do go and save him. But in the process of saving him, it becomes about them. Because what they're doing triggers these flashes in Biao's brain. And she starts remembering things somehow miraculously, even though she shouldn't be able to remember things. And it's starting to bring things back. So we have to focus on that instead. Yeah, Because in the middle of characters dying over here, let's not insult them at all by, like, focusing on them. No, let's go over here and focus on this instead, because clearly this romance is most important, because clearly everybody watching this show, we only have 2 characters, okay? The rest of them are like nobodies. Why are they even in the show? Like, give me a minute. These are our characters. Everything is about them. So literally, we get to the point where literally they manage to save Liu Wei, but because of everything else that is happening, he isn't really saved because it took too long. His injuries, he stops moving. And San Yang is with him, and she can't stand this because he is everything to her. So she decides to give up her life, to literally completely die in order to save Liu Wei. Literally, I'm not even joking. We were literally in the middle of watching her die in order to save him, and we had to switch over to Biao and Zhao Fan and watch this triumphant moment where she gets her memories back, or at least I think she actually got her memories back. I was skipping it because I don't care. This scene is not about them. Yet, we have to skip over there in the middle of these 2. And then we go back to Liu Wei and San Ying dying in order to bring him back. And that was a heart-wrenching, so well done scene that was so sad. And we get to finish this scene, and he is so crushed by this because, long story, but he's so crushed by it that he doesn't want to live anymore, even though Zhao Qi still exists. Sorry, Zhao Qi, you're not as important to what he just realized. So he boots everybody out of the cave in order to save their lives, but he stays behind with San Ning's body. He says goodbye forever. I don't know whether he's actually dead at this point or if he's just currently buried and doesn't have any interest in coming out because he wants to stay with San Ning. And here comes the second time where the character spotlight, and you literally just destroyed something epic by character spotlighting instead of properly storytelling. Don't do this. This is an example of you never, ever do this. And if you come across a book that is doing this, or if you come across a show that is doing this, make a big stink about it so that authors will stop doing this, because this is like one of the most insulting things you can do, is scare character spotlight. The second scene that they did this with is when they all wake up in the sand, and Zhao Qi, who literally already lost 17 members of his family, I don't know if he was watching them die. I don't know exactly how it happened. He probably did see at least some of them die. He knows exactly what happened to them. They're foxes. He's like, I think it was his mother got turned into a coat, and one of his brothers got turned into a hat. He knows what happened to their fur. And Liu Wei is like the only family he's got left. Liu Wei and, by proxy, San Yang, because she is Liu Wei's, lover. He wakes up and realizes the whole cave is gone. Liu Wei is gone. San Ying is gone. He falls to his knees. This is a gut-wrenching, horribly sad scene. Just the simplicity of his devastation. And then we switch over to what? As the episode ends, Biao holding Xiao Fan's hand, and him looking at her face, and her looking at him, and him smiling, because the whole world is really good now, because Biao's got her memories back. I've got no words left. I don't know why I'm still watching this show. Actually, that's another video.